and internal effects. Do you have any idea what we mean by external and internal effects of a force? Right? So action of a force on a body, it can be divided into, I'll just write it down. Action of a force on a body, right? It can have two effects, right? Action of a force on a body can have two effects, right? Now these two effects, they can be external and internal effects. Can you tell me what do we mean by external and internal effect? Any idea?
Sir,
Can
external
change
effect.
the shape of the body. Sir,
It
shape of the
changes the
body
shape
can
of the
change.
body, right? Then what is that?
External, sir. And
Anything else? Anything else?
Then it can create motion.
Right, let me just explain it to you. So forces that are external to a body, okay, forces that are external to a body, right, they can be the applied force or reactive force. So reaction, say one body is applying a force to another body, the reactive force that you are getting, that can be called as an external effect, right? The applied force can be an external effect, or the reactive force, because of the application of force to a body, that can be external force, right? Now the deformation part that you are talking about, right, the deformation part that you are talking about, that is the internal effect. Okay, this results in stresses in a body, and this results in deformation, or this results in resistance to deformation. Okay, now resistance to deformation or the actual deformation that is taking place, we are going to discuss in this module also, in module 1. That is why I am classifying the force, the effects of force, as external and internal. Like you have maybe previously you have drawn free body diagrams. Okay, free body diagrams of forces. You have analyzed structures. Then those forces that you have analyzed, they are external forces, and stresses that are generated in a body, okay, or the tensile force, or the deformation force that is acting on a body, right, that is the internal. Now when we will be learning stresses in this module, I will explain that to you in detail, the internal force. For now, let me be clear to you, you have external and internal. Right now we are going to deal with external forces only, and in the later part of the module, when we will be learning stresses and strain and thermal stresses, we are going to consider the internal effects of a force, okay, that we are going to learn. And there is a vast subject which is called strength of materials, right? Now can you tell me, there is another very important thing, which is principle of transmissibility of a force. Principle of transmissibility. Can anyone tell me what do we mean by principle of transmissibility with respect to a force? Can anyone tell me what do we mean by principle of transmissibility of a force?
So it can be moved anywhere along the line of
Exactly, we can, what can we do? Anywhere along the line of action, we can
move. With
apply the force on at any other point on its line of action without changing its, or without affecting its net external effect. Okay, that is why it is also called a sliding vector. Okay, force is also called a sliding vector. Force is also called a sliding vector. Right? So now let us now with some basic definitions or some basic concepts of force, let us now begin with our module. Right? So here in this module, we are going to see system of forces, addition of forces, moment of a force, couple, Varignon's theorem, free body diagrams, forces in 3 dimension. So these are basically these methods of joints, frames, etc., etc. These we are going to be discussing with respect to external effects of a force. External effects of a force, right? And here, from here, Hooke's law of elasticity, stress, strain, relation between elastic constant, these we are going to discuss with respect to internal effects of a force, right? And since you people are computer science students, I will find scope of programming in engineering mechanics also. While we are learning engineering mechanics, right, I will also try to find out some scope of programming which is applicable to mechanical engineering or solving mechanical engineering problems, right? So I think that will make it more interesting. Now, basically, what do we mean by mechanics? What do we mean by mechanics? So mechanics is the science which describes and predicts condition of rest of motion. Okay, it describes and predicts condition of rest or motion of bodies under the action of some force. Okay. Now, what are the different categories of mechanics? You can have mechanics of rigid bodies, deformable bodies, and fluids. Okay. The strength of materials part that we are going to study in engineering mechanics, this Hooke's law and this part, here mostly we are going to restrict ourselves to rigid bodies. Okay, we are not going to discuss mechanics of deformable bodies or fluids, right? We are going to mostly restrict ourselves to rigid bodies. Now, the mechanics of rigid bodies, it can be divided as statics or dynamics, right? So what do we mean by statics or what do we mean by dynamics? Obviously, when the body is static, when the body is in static condition, that is statics, and when the body there is some particular motion or there is some movement, that aspect is dynamics. So with respect to time, there is some change in position or acceleration or velocity, then in that case we have dynamics, right? So we are going to restrict mostly ourselves to rigid bodies and not deformable bodies. Okay, so mechanics is an applied science and it is not an abstract or pure science, but does not have the empiricism found in engineering sciences, the empirical relations or empirism found in engineering sciences. So the concept of pure science will be applied to mechanical engineering, right? So that is the reason why mechanics is called applied science. And for most of engineering sciences, mechanics is the foundation and it is a indispensable prerequisite, right? That is why for most of the students we include engineering mechanics, right? So being computer science graduates, you must be knowing something about problem solving, about mechanical engineering also, because there is a lot of scope of coding and simulation in engineering field. Not only will you be developing software, but say in case of automation, etc., and when you have to design, when you have to give input related to some machine or anything like that, you say you have to develop some code, then for that you must be having some basic idea. Okay, now some fundamental concepts that you should be knowing is some just preliminary definition. One is space, right? What do we mean by space? So the position of a point given in terms of 3 coordinates measured from a reference point or origin. That is your space. Next important fundamental concept is your time, right? So definition of an event requires specification of the time and position at which it occurred, right? The next concept is mass. Obviously, it is used to characterize and compare bodies, right? For example, a response to Earth's gravitational attraction, resistance to changes in translational motion, right? And the next one is force. It represents the action of one body on another. It is characterized by its point of application, right? The point of application is important. The magnitude, the direction, that is important. And force is a vector quantity, as I have discussed some time back. Now I'll just introduce you to vectors, and mostly while learning vectors, we are going to discuss about forces. Okay.
म्यूट हो गया क्या?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have to bear with me sometimes because in this online mode, sometimes what happens is there is a little bit of network problem, right? Scalar quantity. So
Yes, sir.
what are scalar quantities? Parameters possessing magnitude, but it has no direction. Okay, parameters possessing magnitude but not direction. For example, length, mass, speed, they have magnitude but they do not have any direction. And vector quantities, these parameters, they possess magnitude, direction, and direction, which add according to the parallelogram law of vector addition, right? For example, you have force, then you can have velocity, then you can have acceleration. Okay, so here, see, 20 newtons is the magnitude and eastward is the direction. Velocity 20 meters per second north. So 20 meters per second is the magnitude and north is the direction. Acceleration due to gravity 9.8 meters per second square, that is the magnitude, and downwards this one is your direction. Okay, so both magnitude and direction, that is a vector quantity. Now, how do you denote a vector? It is denoted by an arrow which is drawn to scale. Now here, this length of line, that denotes the magnitude, and the arrowhead, that shows the direction, or the angle with respect to some coordinate system, say theta, that is the direction, right? And the notation, say for force, we denote it by capital letters and this one, and an arrowhead on top of that. So that is basically the notation of a vector. Now you can have different types of vectors. You can have fixed or bound vectors, which have well-defined points of application and that cannot be changed without affecting an analysis, right? So fixed vectors, you have a definite point of application. Free vectors, they can be freely moved in space without changing their effect on an analysis. For example, couple moments. Okay, we are going to see why couple moment is a free vector later on. Then you have sliding vectors. It may be applied anywhere along their line of action without affecting the analysis. And we have just now discussed that force may be treated as a sliding vector. Okay. Now equal vectors, they have same magnitude and direction, right? Can anyone tell me what is an equivalent vector then? Equal
Force
vectors
should
have
be in
same
ratio.
magnitude and direction. Equivalent?
Two force should be in ratio, sir.
Yes.
When
They
two
have same
have same
magnitude.
magnitude and direction.
Same magnitude and direction, that is equal. What is equivalent? Can you tell me?
Sir, in
That is
ratio, sir.
very impressive.
Multiple
Direction is
times.
the same while magnitude is equal. Magnitude is not equal. Direction is the
Magnitude
same
may not
while,
be equal, and
but
direction.
direction is the same.
Suppose, say, I have a beam like this. Okay. Right. I am applying a force, downward force like this. Right. Say this is 10 Newton. Right. And this distance is, say, oh, just a moment. Right, say this distance is 5 meter. This distance is, say, 10 meter, and I apply a 5 Newton force here. Okay. Have you understood this? Now say if I find out the moment at this point, right? For this force, the moment at this point, this will be 50 Newton meter. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Moment is also a vector
Yes,
because
sir.
it has some magnitude as well as direction, isn't it? Moment. Now for this moment, the moment caused by this force at this point, that is also 50 Newton meter. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And their direction is also same.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now it will be your homework to find out what do we mean by equivalent vectors.
Sir,
That will
equivalent
be your homework.
vectors
Yes.
are like that represent the same quantity as well.
Can I say that this 10 Newton and 5 Newton force, they are equivalent vectors?
No,
Yeah,
sir,
we can
because
say.
their magnitude are
Yes,
not
sir.
same.
With respect to the moment that is being produced here by this force and this force, in such a case, we can consider it as equivalent. The magnitude also same, the direction of the moment also same. So equivalent
they are
vector
equal
is always
because
specified
they're
with
inside the
respect
plane.
to some action. Let me finish. Equivalent vector is always specified with respect to some quantity or some some effect. With some effect it is related to, with some effect. Are you getting my point? Yes, someone was saying something. Hello, someone was saying
Yes, sir.
something. Yes, please.
Sir, actually, sir, here the force are not equal, but the moment of force are equal.
Moment with
Sir,
respect
the
to a certain
moment is
point.
inside the plane.
With respect to a certain point, moment with respect to a certain point, moment we define it obviously with respect to a point, isn't it? At this point there will be some different moment, at this point there will be some different moment, isn't it? So with respect to this point A, the magnitude as well as direction of moment is same. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. Right. So now let us proceed. So again, the triangle law of vector addition, you are very well aware of that. The graphical vector addition, right? Say you have two vectors A and B. How do you find out the resultant? So this is your vector A with proper magnitude and as well as, say this is your coordinate system. This is your coordinate system, say X and Y coordinate system. This is your direction of the vector given by angle theta and the arrowhead. So you place A at the end of arrow. Say this is theta 1, this is theta 2, right? You draw it properly. And from this point, the tail of A and the head of B, if you join by this arrow, then that will give you the resultant of these two vectors, vectors A and vector B. So that is the graphical method of vector addition, right? Now let us come to components of vectors, right? So basically you can have, here we are going to restrict ourselves to two-dimensional cases only, right? Later on we are going to three-dimensional cases, right? So components of a vector, say A is your vector. So the x component is A cos theta. This is angle theta, isn't it? So A cos theta is your x component, which is your AX, and A sin theta is your vertical component, right? Now, if the components are known, if AX and AY is known to you, right, then the resultant magnitude of A, how are you going to get that? Square root under AX square plus AY square. And how will you get the direction? This value of theta, how are you going to get that? Tan inverse AY by AX. So this is your magnitude. This will give you the magnitude, and this will give you the direction, the value of theta. So if you know a vector, then you can find out its x and y component. And if the x and y component is known to you, then you can find out the magnitude of the resultant as well as the direction. Again, some examples of vector components, right? So again, this vector you have A, this vector you have B, and this resultant vector that you have. Okay. Now this vector A, the magnitude is 12 and it is at an angle 20 degree. Okay, this angle is 20 degree and the magnitude of A is 12. So component, what will be the vector components? AX will be 12 cos 20 and Y component will be 12 sin 20, right? Now similarly, B has magnitude 25 and it is at an angle 60 degree. This angle is 60 degrees, so BX will be 25. Just a moment. Hello. बोलो क्लास चल रहा है अभी. वो इमेजेस मिल गया है ना, FEACM इमेजेस. FEACM भी आ जाएगा, मेरे को फॉरवर्ड कर देना, ठीक है. Right. Now for B, this will be 25 cos 60, and this vertical component will be 25 sin 60, right? So this is how you can calculate the components. Now again, addition of vectors. Say you again the same problem. A is equal to 12 at 20 degree, B is equal to 25 magnitude at an angle 60 degree. So what you have to do is you need to find out the resultant R. Okay. Now this resultant R, it will have this resultant R, it will have X component as well as Y component, isn't it? Now the Rx component will be addition of AX plus BX. So this was 11.3 AX and BX was 12.5, isn't it? We have calculated it here, 11.3 and 12.5. So we have added that, and the X component of R is 23.8, that is the magnitude, and RY is similarly AY plus BY. This one, AY plus BY, we are adding that and we are going to get 25.8. Now this resultant magnitude will be Rx square plus Ry square. And we get that value as 35.8. 0.05, right? Now, what will be the direction of R? This angle of R, say theta, tan inverse Ry by Rx, and that theta angle will be 47.3 degree, right? So this is also called the polar form calculation. Okay, this value of theta. Okay. Now, unit vectors, right? Now, unit vectors, they have magnitude 1 and they represent a certain direction, right? Along the x direction, it is denoted by I cap. Along the y direction, it is denoted by j cap. And along the z direction, it is denoted by k cap. Okay. Again, you are very much well aware of this notation also. Right. So up to this portion, is it clear to you? Components of a
Yes,
force.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now say
Yes,
if you
sir.
have a structure like this, say if you have a structure something like this, it is fixed here, right? And at this point, I am applying a force, say F, okay? Along this direction, say I consider this to be my x direction, and along this direction, say I consider my y direction. So this angle is beta. Okay. Now, can you tell me what will be the magnitude of F along x direction? What will be Fx equal to?
F sin beta.
Sin beta.
F
F
Very
sin
good.
beta.
So this will be
F
F
sin
sin
beta.
beta. And what will be Fy equal to?
F cos beta.
Cos beta.
F cos
F
beta.
cos
F
beta.
B.
F equal to F cos beta.
Right? Okay. So F sin beta and F cos beta. Correct? Right. Now again, say if I know the x and y components of a force, the magnitude, say this is my F. If I know the Fx component and Fy component, then in vector form, can I write F is equal to Fx I cap plus Fy j cap? Can I write that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Right. So here we can denote using the I cap, j cap, and k cap. Right? Now say if I have two forces F1 and F2, right? Say F1 is equal to F1x plus F1y, and say F2 is equal to F2x plus F2y. Say I cap, this is j cap, and this is again I cap, and this is again j cap. Now, can you tell me what can be the resultant of these two forces, F1 and F2?
Sir, F1 x I cap plus F1 y F2 x I cap. This is x component, and again
Exactly.
F1
So I can just say that this resultant is equal to F1
F1
plus
plus
F1x plus F2x
or
Plus F2.
F1x plus F2x
I cap
cap
I cap.
I
then
cap
plus F1y
F1y plus
plus
F1y
F2y,
F2y
2y
j
j cap.
right? So this is how we can denote this one, right?
Yes, sir.
So in the tutorial class, we are going to practice some problems related to components of a force. Just class चल रहा था, हो गया है complete. एक सर का है ना? कल करा के दे दो मेरे को, ठीक है, या मुझे दे के जाओगे? रख लो अपने पास, कल साइन करा के मेरे को दे देना, मैं जमा कर दूंगा फिर। Right. So the resultant is equal to F1 plus F2. So in the next class, we are going to, I mean in the tutorial class, since the tutorial class you have it tomorrow itself, I will discuss that, right? Again, tomorrow's first tutorial class, the tutorial class of section C will be held at the appropriate time. Again, tomorrow I have meeting from very important departmental meeting tomorrow from 10 o'clock. And your class is also scheduled at 10 o'clock. So I would like to take one slot. I'll just tell you which one. Right. Section C has tutorial from 2:30 to 3:20. Right. So from 3:30 to 4:20, can I take the tutorial of section D? Any problem? That slot is, you are free at that slot. Section D.
Okay,
yes,
sir.
Yes, free.
Yes, this is only for tomorrow. Okay, not every week. Like only today's class, I have shifted it at 4:30 because we had some important departmental meeting from 3 p.m. Okay, so tomorrow again from 10 a.m. we have a meeting. So that is why I am shifting it. Otherwise, classes will be held at normal time. Okay. Only if there is some problem or if there is some urgent departmental meeting or meeting with some other person, then only I will try to shift it. Otherwise, it will be held at the time given in your timetable, right? So section C will be from 2:30 to 3:20, and section D, which was supposed to be held from 10 to 10:50, it will be held from 3:30 to 4:20, only for tomorrow. I will post it in the group also for section D. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And in the tutorial class, we